The massive crystalline chamber aboard the neutral station Concordia hummed with tension as representatives from 47 different species gathered around the circular negotiation table. Ambassador Zephyr Prime of the vegan collective adjusted her translucent wings nervously as she watched the human delegation enter the room. Their faces were unreadable masks of professional courtesy, but something felt different today. Admiral Sarah Chun led the human contingent, her crisp navy uniform contrasting sharply with the flowing robes and exotic appearances of the other delegates. Behind her walked General Marcus Rodriguez, Dr. Elena Vasquez, and Trade Commissioner James Wright. Each carried themselves with the quiet confidence that had made humanity both respected and feared across the galaxy. The Galactic Council had called this emergency session after 3 months of failed Armistice negotiations. The Human Coalition War had raged for 18 brutal months, leaving entire star systems in ruins and billions dead on both sides. What had started as a trade dispute over mining rights in the Kepler 442 system had escalated into the largest interstellar conflict in recorded history. Chancellor Vorthak of the Regellian Empire, his 4 arms gesticulating wildly, was already speaking before the humans had taken their seats. The Council demands immediate cessation of human military operations in the Outer Rim territories. Your species' aggressive expansion threatens the stability of our entire civilization. The Aquarian delegate, Minister Coralsong, rippled her bioluminescent skin in agreement. The humans have shown complete disregard for established territorial boundaries. Their warships patrol systems that have belonged to Council species for millennia. Admiral Chen remained silent as accusation after accusation was hurled across the table. The insectoid hive queen Zacth clicked her mandibles disapprovingly. Human weapons technology violates 17 different galactic conventions. Their kinetic bombardment systems are considered crimes against sentience. Through it all, the human delegation sat perfectly still, not defending themselves, not arguing back, not even taking notes. This behavior puzzled many of the alien representatives, who were used to humanity's fierce advocacy for their positions. High Magistrate Kelnvor of the Centauri Federation finally called for order. His ancient voice carried the weight of 10,000 years of diplomatic experience. We have gathered here today to find a peaceful resolution to this devastating conflict. The Council has prepared a comprehensive armistice proposal that addresses the concerns of all parties. The holographic display activated, showing the proposed terms in dozens of languages and symbol systems. The conditions were harsh for humanity. Complete withdrawal from all disputed territories. Dismantling of their forward military bases. Reparations totaling nearly half their gross planetary product for the next century. Strict limitations on their fleet size and weapons development. These terms are non-negotiable, declared Speaker Ulthanis of the Silicon Collective, her crystalline form refracting the chamber's light into prismatic patterns. Humanity must accept responsibility for this catastrophic war. Admiral Chen finally spoke, her voice calm and measured. I need to confer with my team. She activated a privacy field around the human delegation, the shimmering barrier blocking both sound and most scanning technologies. The alien representatives waited, some impatiently, others with the serene confidence of those who believed victory was assured. They had spent months crafting these terms, designing them to effectively neuter human expansion while maintaining the pretense of fairness. Chancellor Vorthak leaned toward his aide. Finally, we will put these aggressive mammals in their place. Their rapid expansion ends today. Minister Coralsong's patterns shifted to express satisfaction. The humans have no choice. Their economy cannot sustain much more warfare, and they are outnumbered 47-1 in this council. After 30 minutes, the privacy field dissipated. Admiral Chen stood, her expression still unreadable. The chamber fell silent as every delegate focused on the human response that would shape the future of galactic politics. The United Earth government and its allied colonies have carefully reviewed the Council's proposal. Admiral Chen began, her words carrying across the vast chamber with crystal clarity. We appreciate the time and effort that went into crafting these terms. Several alien delegates relaxed visibly, interpreting this as the beginning of human capitulation. Chancellor Vorthak even allowed himself a small smile of triumph. However, Admiral Chun continued, and the single word seemed to drop the chamber's temperature by several degrees. After extensive deliberation with our leadership on Earth and our colony worlds, we must respectfully decline these terms. A shocked silence fell over the assembly. High Magistrate Kelnvor's ancient features showed the first crack of uncertainty they had displayed in centuries. Ambassador Chun, surely you cannot mean to reject a reasonable path to peace? With respect, High Magistrate, we do not find these terms reasonable. They amount to complete surrender disguised as diplomacy. Admiral Chen's voice remained level, but there was steel beneath the politeness. The insectoid hive queen Zacth rose to her full imposing height. You dare reject the collective will of 47 species? Your arrogance knows no bounds. Our decision is not made from arrogance, General Rodriguez interjected, speaking for the first time. It comes from careful analysis of both our capabilities and our principles. Chancellor Vorthak slammed one of his 4 fists on the table. You are one species against an entire galaxy. Your military might, impressive as it may be, cannot stand against our combined forces. Dr. Vasquez smiled slightly, an expression that somehow made several delegates uncomfortable. Chancellor, with respect, I don't think you fully understand our position. Then, enlighten us, Speaker Ulthanis demanded, her crystalline form pulsing with indignation. Admiral Chen looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes or optical sensors of each major delegate. Very well. Let me share some information that might provide clarity. She activated her own holographic display, showing strategic maps of the galaxy. Red dots marked human territories and fleet positions. The display revealed something that made several delegates shift uncomfortably in their seats. Over the past 18 months, while engaging in this conflict, humanity has established permanent colonies in 43 previously uninhabited star systems. Our industrial capacity has increased by 300%. Our military shipyards now produce more vessels in a month than we could in a year before this war began. The display zoomed in on specific regions, showing massive orbital installations and bustling colony worlds. War, you see, has a unique effect on human civilization. Instead of weakening us, it has accelerated our development in ways that peace never could. Minister Coralsong's bioluminescent patterns flickered with confusion. Impossible. Your economic reports show massive resource expenditure. You should be nearing bankruptcy. Trade Commissioner Wright stepped forward. Our economic reports show exactly what we want them to show. Humans learned long ago that information is as powerful a weapon as any kinetic projectile. The chamber erupted in angry chittering, clicking, and various alien expressions of outrage. High Magistrate Kelnvor called for order, but the revelation had shaken the delegates' confidence. You mean to tell us that this entire war has been some elaborate deception? Chancellor Vorthak's voice carried a mixture of anger and grudging respect. Not deception, Admiral Chen corrected. Simply incomplete disclosure. The war is very real. The casualties on both sides are tragically genuine. But the effect on human civilization has been unexpected. Dr. Vasquez activated another display, showing technological advancement charts. In 18 months of warfare, humanity has made leaps in science and engineering that would normally take decades. Our weapons technology, our ship designs, our industrial processes, everything has evolved at an unprecedented rate. But your casualties, Speaker Ulthanis protested. The reports show millions of human dead. Every human life lost in this conflict is a tragedy we mourn, General Rodriguez said solemnly. But it's also important to understand that those losses, while significant to us emotionally, represent a fraction of our true population. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The Aquarian delegate was the first to voice what many were thinking. How many humans are there, really? Admiral Chen paused, as if considering how much to reveal. Our last census, conducted 6 months ago, counted approximately 47 billion humans across all our worlds and orbital habitats. The number hit the chamber like a physical blow. Most council species numbered their total populations in the hundreds of millions. The largest, the Regellian Empire, boasted perhaps 8 billion citizens across dozens of worlds. 47 billion, High Magistrate Kelnvor repeated slowly. That would make humanity the most populous species in known space. By a considerable margin, Trade Commissioner Wright confirmed. And that number grows by approximately 200 million each year. Chancellor Vorthack's forearms trembled with either rage or fear. You have been lying to the galaxy about your true strength for decades. We've been modest about our achievements, Admiral Chun corrected gently. Human culture values humility. We saw no reason to boast about our population or our industrial capacity. We preferred to let our actions speak for themselves. The insectoid hive queen Zaktich clicked her mandibles rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation. If these numbers are accurate, then the strategic balance we thought existed has never existed, Dr. Vasquez finished. From the moment first contact was established, humanity has possessed the resources to dominate this galaxy. We have chosen not to do so. Chosen not to. Speaker Ulthanis's crystalline form pulsed with disbelief. You expect us to believe that your species has shown restraint? General Rodriguez stepped forward. Look at our expansion pattern before this war. Slow, methodical, always seeking permission and establishing treaties. We could have claimed every uninhabited system in our local sector within a decade of achieving faster-than-light travel. Instead, we spent 50 years following proper diplomatic protocols. The alien delegates exchanged nervous glances. Everything they thought they knew about the galactic balance of power was crumbling before their eyes. Minister Coralson's patterns shifted to deep blue, indicating profound concern. If you possess such overwhelming advantages, why engage in negotiations at all? Why not simply impose your will upon the galaxy? Admiral Chin's expression softened slightly. Because that's not who we are. Humans believe in cooperation, in mutual benefit, in the idea that diverse species working together can achieve more than any one species alone. We came to these negotiations hoping to find a path back to that cooperative relationship. But the terms you've been offered, Chancellor Vorthack began, amount to unconditional surrender. Admiral Chun interrupted firmly. They would reduce humanity to a client species, forever subordinate to the Council's will. That is something no proud species could accept, regardless of their military situation. High Magistrate Kelnvor, his ancient wisdom finally, grasping the full scope of what he was hearing, spoke carefully. You're telling us that humanity has the power to impose its will on the entire galaxy, but chooses not to use it. Correct. And that these Armistice terms, which we designed to limit human expansion, are actually an insult to a species that could conquer us all if it chose to do so. Also correct. The chamber fell into a silence so profound that the hum of the station's life support systems seemed deafening. Every delegate was recalculating not just the immediate situation, but the entire history of human-alien relations. Speaker Ulthanis finally broke the silence. What do you want from us? Admiral Chen looked around the chamber one final time. Nothing that we haven't always wanted. Mutual respect, fair treatment, the right to exist and expand as any species does. We're not asking for dominance or special privileges. We simply want to be treated as equals. And if we cannot provide that, Chancellor Vorthack asked, though his tone had lost much of its earlier bluster. Admiral Chin's expression hardened. Then, we will stop pretending to be less than we are. The threat, delivered so quietly and matter-of-factly, sent a chill through every delegate present. They had thought they were negotiating from a position of strength. Now they realized they had been living at the sufferance of a species that could have destroyed them all at any time. Trade Commissioner Wright activated a new display showing shipping routes and trade agreements. The economic relationships we've built over 50 years have benefited every species in this chamber. Human consumers purchase goods from 46 different worlds. Our technology and manufacturing capacity supports millions of jobs across the galaxy. We would prefer to maintain and expand these mutually beneficial relationships. But you will not be dictated to, High Magistrate Kelnvor observed. No, Admiral Chen confirmed. We will not. The old Centauri magistrate's eyes held ancient wisdom and newfound worry. And if this council cannot provide the terms you seek, then humanity will chart its own course. We will expand as we see fit, trade with those who wish to trade with us, and defend ourselves against any who would threaten us. We will become what we have always had the potential to be. Which is what exactly? Minister Coral Song asked, her patterns now shifting rapidly between confusion and fear. Dr. Vasquez smiled that unsettling smile again. The dominant species in this galaxy. The emergency session had been suspended for 6 hours while each delegation consulted with their home governments. Admiral Chun and her team waited in their assigned quarters aboard Concordia Station, maintaining their calm demeanor despite knowing that the next few hours would determine the future of galactic civilization. Meanwhile, across the station and on dozens of worlds, alien leaders struggled to comprehend the new reality they faced. The secure communication channels buzzed with panicked exchanges between capitals, military commands, and intelligence agencies. On Rigel Prime, Emperor Vorthak Supreme paced his crystalline throne room while his military advisors presented hastily compiled intelligence reports. General Kethvar, his primary military strategist, displayed holographic fleet deployments with obvious concern. My Emperor, our intelligence completely underestimated human capabilities. If their population figures are accurate, they could field a military force 10 times larger than our combined council fleets. The Emperor's forearms gestured in frustration. How did our intelligence networks miss something so fundamental? We have spies in human space. They see only what humans allow them to see, apparently. Our operatives report normal colonial activity, standard industrial output, typical population centers. But if humans have 47 billion people, then they have been managing information with a sophistication we never imagined, the Emperor concluded grimly. On Aquarius, the flowing council convened in their underwater deliberation chambers. Minister Coral Song's bioluminescent patterns reflected the anxiety of the entire assembly as they reviewed trade agreements with humanity spanning 3 decades. The economic data suggests something we missed, reported trade singer Deep Current. Human manufacturing output has been consistently underreported. Their actual industrial capacity may be 20 times what we believed. 20 times. The patterns of the council members flickered in shock. But their trade requests, their technology exchanges, all carefully calibrated to maintain the illusion of a smaller, less capable civilization, Deep Current confirmed. They purchased our technologies not because they needed them, but because they wanted us to feel valuable as trading partners. The revelation stung. For decades, the Aquarians had prided themselves on being essential technology suppliers to the human colonies. Now they realized they had been humored by a species that could have developed everything independently. Back on Concordia Station, the human delegation was receiving its own communications from Earth and the colony worlds. Admiral Chun read the latest message from President Martinez with a mixture of satisfaction and concern. The council session seems to have achieved its intended effect, General Rodriguez observed. Intelligence reports show panic across multiple council worlds. Dr. Vasquez nodded toward her data tablet. Their military formations are shifting. Several species have begun recalling fleets from forward positions. The Silicons have activated their defensive grid around their home system. They're scared, Trade Commissioner Wright noted. Good. Fear will make them more reasonable. Admiral Chun frowned slightly. Fear will make them desperate. Desperate beings make unpredictable choices. As if summoned by her words, the communication system chimed with an incoming priority message. High Magistrate Kelmvor's ancient face appeared on the screen, his expression grave. Admiral Chun, I request an immediate private conference. The situation has become complicated. 30 minutes later, Chun met the Centauri magistrate in a secure conference room. The ancient alien's demeanor had changed dramatically from the formal negotiator she had faced earlier. Admiral, I have been involved in galactic diplomacy for over 3 centuries. I have seen the rise and fall of empires, witnessed first contact between dozens of species, and helped prevent more wars than I care to count. His voice carried genuine weariness. But I have never faced a situation quite like this. You're concerned about the Council's reaction to our revelations, Chun observed. I am terrified of it, Kelmvor admitted bluntly. Several species are proposing immediate preemptive strikes against human colonies. They believe that if humanity truly possesses the power you claim, It represents an existential threat that must be eliminated before it can be fully deployed. The Admiral's expression didn't change, but her tone grew colder. That would be unwise. Yes, it would. But fear makes beings unwise. The Rigelians are mobilizing their entire battle fleet. The insectoids are discussing biological warfare options. Even some of the traditionally peaceful species are considering unprecedented military cooperation. Kelmvor activated a holographic display showing fleet movements across the galaxy. Red indicators marked military buildup around human territories. They're planning a coordinated assault, Chen realized. Within 72 hours, unless something changes dramatically. They call it Operation Sunset, the simultaneous attack on all major human colonies and Earth itself. The Admiral studied the display with professional interest. 47 species coordinating a joint military operation. That's ambitious. Can humanity survive such an assault? The magistrate asked directly. Chen's smile was neither warm nor reassuring. Magistrate, I think you're asking the wrong question. What should I be asking? You should be asking whether the galaxy can survive humanity's response to such an assault. The alien diplomat's ancient features paled. Explain. Admiral Chen activated her own display, showing information that made the magistrate's blood freeze. Fleet positions, industrial installations, and weapon systems that dwarfed anything the Council had imagined. For 50 years, humanity has maintained what we call the gentle approach to galactic relations. We've portrayed ourselves as a minor power, a junior member of the galactic community. We've followed protocols, respected boundaries, and sought permission for expansion. The display showed massive shipyards hidden in asteroid fields, orbital defense platforms around seemingly uninhabited systems, and fleet concentrations that could overwhelm entire Council armies. But we've also been preparing for the possibility that the galaxy might not accept us as we truly are. Every human colony has defensive capabilities that could repel invasion fleets 10 times their apparent size. Every industrial center can be converted to military production within days. Every citizen has received basic military training. You've militarized your entire civilization, Kelmvor whispered. We've prepared our entire civilization for survival. There's a difference, though the end result may appear similar. The display zoomed to show Earth itself, surrounded by orbital installations that boggled the imagination. Our home world alone possesses defensive capabilities sufficient to destroy any fleet the Council could assemble. But, more importantly, Magistrate, Earth is just one world. We have 237 colony worlds, 18,000 orbital habitats, and industrial complexes in over 500 star systems. Impossible. Our long-range surveys would have detected such infrastructure. Your long-range surveys detected exactly what we wanted them to detect. Humanity learned stealth technology from observing how various Council species hid their own military assets. We simply applied it more comprehensively than anyone imagined possible. Kelmvor slumped in his chair, the weight of centuries suddenly showing on his features. If Operation Sunset proceeds, if the Council attacks human civilians, they will discover what humanity becomes when we abandon the gentle approach, Admiral Chen said quietly. We will not simply defend ourselves. We will eliminate every threat to human survival permanently. You're talking about genocide. I'm talking about survival. If 47 species coordinate to destroy humanity, then humanity will ensure that such coordination becomes impossible in the future. The magistrate's hands trembled as he grasped the full implications. You could destroy galactic civilization entirely. Yes, but we would prefer not to. That's why I'm sharing this information with you, Magistrate, because I believe you understand what's at stake. Kelmvor stared at the holographic displays showing humanity's true strength. Every assumption about galactic power structures was crumbling. What do you want from me? Help us prevent a catastrophe that will hurt everyone. Use your influence to make the Council understand that attacking humanity will not eliminate a threat. It will create one far worse than anything they imagine. And in return, humanity returns to the gentle approach. We continue to respect existing boundaries, follow diplomatic protocols, and build the cooperative relationships we've always preferred. The galaxy remains stable, prosperous, and peaceful. The ancient diplomat studied the human admiral's face. You're offering to continue pretending to be less powerful than you are, in exchange for being treated with basic respect. Correct. And if the council cannot accept those terms. Admiral Chen's expression hardened. Then, we stopped pretending. The implications hung in the air like a toxic cloud. Kelnvor realized he was witnessing a pivotal moment in galactic history. The choices made in the next few hours would determine whether the galaxy moved toward cooperation or domination. I will do what I can, he said finally. But the fear is strong, Admiral. Many species believe they're facing an existential threat. They are, Chen agreed. But not the threat they think. The real threat is what happens if they make the wrong choice in response to that fear. After the magistrate left, Admiral Chen contacted her team. How are our preparations proceeding? General Rodriguez's voice was grim. All colonies have been alerted. Defense platforms are powered and ready. The home fleet has moved to high alert status. Industrial conversion? Chen asked. 70% complete, Dr. Vasquez reported. If we need to transition to full war production, we can have the entire civilian manufacturing base converted within 18 hours. Population evacuation plans. All critical personnel and civilians have been identified for emergency relocation to secure systems. Trade Commissioner Wright confirmed. We can preserve 90% of our population even if they manage to destroy our major colonies. Admiral Chen nodded grimly. And our response options? Target packages have been prepared for all 47 council species, General Rodriguez confirmed. Military installations, industrial centers, population centers, government facilities. If they force us into total war, we can end galactic civilization as we know it within 6 months, Chen finished. I know. Let's hope it doesn't come to that. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the alien species struggled with an impossible choice. Their intelligence networks had begun confirming the truth behind humanity's revelations. Long-range scans penetrating previously undetected stealth screens revealed the vast scope of human infrastructure. Economic analysis showed the careful manipulation of trade data that had hidden humanity's true industrial capacity for decades. The insectoid hive queens held emergency communion in their shared consciousness network. Queen Zakth's mental voice resonated with confusion and fear. The humans have been among us for 50 years, pretending to be a minor species while possessing the power to destroy us all. This deception runs contrary to everything we understand about predator behavior. Perhaps that's because they're not predators in the way we understand, suggested Queen Veltar from the outer colonies. Their expansion pattern, their diplomatic approach, their willingness to follow our protocols, none of it matches their actual capabilities. Which makes them more dangerous, not less, Queen Zakth responded. A predator we can understand and predict. But a species that possesses overwhelming force and chooses not to use it is either extraordinarily patient or fundamentally different from any species we've encountered, Queen Veltar concluded. The debate raged across the Hive network, thousands of queens contributing their analysis and fears. The consensus that emerged was troubling. Humanity represented something unprecedented in galactic history. On the Silicon homeworld, the collective processed data at quantum speeds, running millions of scenarios through their distributed consciousness. Speaker Ulthanis coordinated the analysis, her crystalline matrix resonating with calculations. The conclusions were stark. In every scenario where the Council attacked humanity, the long-term result was the same: human dominance over the galaxy. The variables were only in how complete that dominance would be and how many other species would survive the transition. Mathematical certainty indicates that Operation Sunset will achieve the opposite of its intended goal, Ulthanis transmitted to the other speakers. Instead of eliminating human threat, it will catalyze human supremacy. Then, what alternative exists? Queried Speaker Neth Prime from the Core Worlds. Accepting human dominance voluntarily? Analysis suggests humans do not seek dominance in conventional terms. Their behavior pattern indicates preference for cooperative relationships with perceived equals. But we are not their equals, Speaker Neth Prime noted. The power differential is too great. Correct. But humans appear willing to pretend otherwise, provided they receive respectful treatment. The Silicon Collective processed this paradox at quantum speeds. A species that could rule absolutely but preferred to pretend equality with lesser powers. It violated every model of dominance behavior they had developed. As the 72-hour deadline approached, the galaxy balanced on the edge of catastrophe. Some species prepared for the greatest military operation in recorded history, while others desperately sought alternatives to mutual annihilation. The humans waited with the patience of a species that had survived ice ages, global wars, and the vast emptiness between stars. They had revealed their true nature not as a threat, but as a warning. The galaxy's response would determine whether the next chapter of history would be written in cooperation or conquest. Admiral Chen stood in her quarters, looking out at the stars through Concordia Station's massive observation windows. Somewhere among those points of light were billions of beings making choices that would echo through millennia. She hoped they would choose wisely. But if they didn't, humanity was ready for that too. The final countdown had begun. Across the galaxy, massive fleets moved into position as Operation Sunset prepared to launch the largest coordinated attack in galactic history. Yet doubt plagued many commanders as intelligence reports confirmed the scope of humanity's hidden strength. Admiral Chun received an encrypted message that changed everything. High Magistrate Kelnvor had succeeded in splitting the council. 12 species had withdrawn from Operation Sunset, declaring neutrality in the coming conflict. But 35 species remained committed to the assault, believing they had no choice but to strike before humanity could deploy its full power. Status report. Chun requested as her team assembled in the secure briefing room. Council attack fleets are 6 hours from optimal striking positions, General Rodriguez reported. 35 species have committed approximately 14,000 warships to the operation. Dr. Vasquez consulted her tactical display. They're targeting Earth, New Geneva, Kepler Colony, and 17 other major population centers simultaneously. It's a decapitation strategy designed to cripple our leadership and industrial base. They still don't understand what they're facing, Trade Commissioner Wright observed grimly. Admiral Chin activated the communication system. Give me President Martinez. The president's face appeared on screen, her expression calm despite the approaching storm. Admiral, I trust you've done everything possible to prevent this catastrophe. Yes, ma'am. 12 species have withdrawn from the attack, but the majority remain committed to Operation Sunset. Then, we proceed with Revelation Protocol, President Martinez said without hesitation. Full disclosure, Admiral. Show them exactly what humanity is capable of. Understood, ma'am. Revelation Protocol is authorized. As the connection ended, Admiral Chun turned to her team. Gentlemen, lady, we are about to change galactic history forever. God help us all. 6 hours later, the Council attack fleets emerged from hyperspace around their target systems. What they found waiting for them defied every assumption they had made about human defensive capabilities. Around Earth, a defensive network of staggering proportions had materialized, as if from nowhere. Massive orbital platforms, their stealth screens dropped, revealed weapons systems that belonged in nightmares. Thousands of automated defense stations created overlapping fields of fire that could vaporize entire fleets. Fleet Admiral Corvash of the Regelian forces stared at his tactical displays in disbelief. Where did all of this come from? Our intelligence showed minimal orbital defenses. His sensor officer's forehands trembled as he reported. Sir, detecting over 15,000 defensive platforms in Earth orbit alone. Energy signatures suggest weapons capable of planetary bombardment. 15,000? Corvash's voice cracked. That's more defensive installations than our entire empire possesses. Similar scenes played out around every targeted human colony. The attacking fleets found themselves facing defensive networks that outnumbered them dozens to one. But the real shock came when human vessels began appearing. They didn't emerge from hyperspace in the conventional manner. They simply appeared, their stealth systems deactivating to reveal a hidden armada that had been present all along. The Council fleets realized with growing horror that they had been surrounded before the battle even began. Admiral Chin's voice broadcast across all frequencies, reaching every ship in every attack fleet simultaneously. Council forces, this is Admiral Sarah Chun of the United Earth Defense Force. You are trespassing in human space with hostile intent. You have one opportunity to withdraw peacefully. Fleet Admiral Corvash responded for the Regelian forces. Human Admiral, we cannot retreat. Our species' survival depends on eliminating your threat before you can deploy your full power. Admiral Corvash, you misunderstand the situation. We have already deployed our full power. What you see around you is not a hastily assembled defense. This is what human space has looked like for the past 20 years. The implications staggered the alien commanders. Every intelligence report, every sensor sweep, every reconnaissance mission had completely failed to detect the true scope of human military infrastructure. Impossible, transmitted Hive General Crix TH of the insectoid forces. Our stealth detection systems would have found installations of this magnitude. Your stealth detection systems found exactly what we allowed them to find. Dr. Vasquez's voice joined the broadcast. Humanity has been studying galactic technology for 50 years. We learned not just how to build it, but how to improve it, and how to counter it. Around Kepler Colony, the Aquarian assault fleet found itself facing an impossible choice. Their target, which appeared to be a lightly defended mining world, had revealed defensive capabilities that exceeded their entire military's offensive power. Council fleets, I'm transmitting tactical data to all your commanders, Admiral Chun continued. Please review this information carefully before making your final decision. The data packages that arrived on every Council ship contained detailed scans of human defensive positions around all targeted systems. The numbers were overwhelming. The human colonies weren't just defended, they were fortified beyond the wildest imagination of galactic military doctrine. But more shocking was the additional data showing human fleet positions throughout the galaxy. Hidden bases in asteroid fields, camouflaged installations in nebulae, and entire battle groups stationed in systems that official records showed as uninhabited. Fleet Admiral Corvash felt his confidence crumble as he studied the tactical display. My Emperor, we are facing a human fleet of over 40,000 vessels, supported by defensive installations that could withstand siege for decades. Emperor Vorthax Supreme's voice crackled across the communication link from Rigel Prime. 40,000 ships? Our intelligence estimated their total fleet at fewer than 2,000 vessels. Their total fleet appears to be 20 times larger than our estimate, Corvash admitted. Sir, we may have made a catastrophic error in our assessment of human capabilities. Similar conversations occurred across the Council forces as the scope of their miscalculation became clear. They had brought 14,000 ships to attack a civilization that possessed 40,000 vessels and defensive installations numbering in the hundreds of thousands. Admiral Chin's broadcast continued, her tone remaining professional despite the magnitude of the crisis. Council forces, you now have complete tactical awareness of the situation. You are outnumbered approximately 3-1, outgunned by perhaps 10-1, and attacking fortified positions prepared specifically for this contingency. She paused to let that information sink in. However, humanity does not wish to destroy your fleets or your civilizations. We offer you safe passage home if you withdraw immediately. The silence that followed stretched for several minutes as alien commanders consulted with their home governments. The reality of their situation was undeniable, but retreat after such massive military commitment would have profound political consequences. Hive General Crix TH was the first to respond. Human Admiral, if we retreat now, our species will live in constant fear of human retaliation. How can we trust that you will not use this demonstrated power to conquer us later? An excellent question, Admiral Chin acknowledged. The answer lies in understanding why we concealed our true capabilities for so long. General Rodriguez's voice joined the broadcast. For 50 years, humanity could have conquered any or all of your species. We possessed the industrial capacity, the technology, and the population to overwhelm your defenses. Yet we chose cooperation instead of conquest. Why? The question came from multiple sources simultaneously. Dr. Vasquez answered. Because conquest is inefficient. Cooperation produces better results for everyone involved. A galaxy of willing trading partners and allies is more valuable than a galaxy of conquered subjects. Trade Commissioner Wright provided economic data to support the argument. In 50 years of cooperative relations, humanity has gained access to technologies, resources, and knowledge that would have taken centuries to develop independently. Your species have benefited similarly from human innovations and trade. Mutual benefit through cooperation versus temporary dominance through conquest. Admiral Chen summarized. Humanity chose the path that creates long-term prosperity for everyone. Fleet Admiral Corvash studied the data, his military mind grappling with concepts that challenged every assumption about interspecies relations. If this is true, why reveal your true strength now? Why not continue the deception? Because the deception became impossible to maintain, Admiral Chen explained. The war forced us to deploy military assets that revealed our true capabilities. We could no longer pretend to be a minor power. So you chose to demonstrate overwhelming force to prevent a larger conflict. Observed Hive General Crix TH with grudging respect. Correct. We could have allowed Operation Sunset to proceed, defended ourselves successfully, and then dictated terms to the survivors. But that would have required destroying most of your fleets and probably invading your home worlds to prevent future attacks. The alien commanders exchanged communications, each beginning to grasp the strategic wisdom of humanity's approach. By revealing their true strength before the battle, humans had created an opportunity for the Council forces to surrender with dignity rather than forcing a catastrophic defeat. High Magistrate Kelnvor's voice joined the conversation from Concordia Station. Council forces, I have been in communication with your governments. Several species have authorized withdrawal from Operation Sunset. The Centauri Federation officially withdraws and offers to mediate continued negotiations. One by one, species began announcing their withdrawal from the assault. The Aquarians were second, followed by several smaller powers. The mathematical reality of the situation made continued aggression pointless. But not all Council species were ready to accept defeat. Chancellor Vorthax Supreme's voice, transmitted from Rigel Prime, carried desperation and fury. The Rigelian Empire will not bow to human intimidation. If we are to face conquest, we will face it with honor. Emperor, with respect, you're not facing conquest, Admiral Chun said patiently. You're facing a choice between cooperation and self-destruction. Explain the difference. Cooperation means you return home, we resume peaceful relations, and life continues as it has for 50 years. You maintain your sovereignty, your culture, and your territory. Self-destruction means you attack us, and we're forced to eliminate your fleet and occupy your worlds to prevent future aggression. The brutal clarity of the choice silenced even the most aggressive Council leaders. They weren't choosing between victory and defeat. They were choosing between peace and annihilation. Fleet Admiral Corvash made the decision that saved his species. Rigelian forces are withdrawing from Operation Sunset. We return to our home territories immediately. His announcement triggered a cascade of similar declarations. Within an hour, only 3 species remained committed to the assault: the Insectoids, the Silicon Collective, and the Vorthan Republic. Their combined forces numbered fewer than 4,000 ships. Hive General Crix TH transmitted a final message to her scattered swarm fleets. The Insectoid Empire chooses honor over survival. We attack. The Battle of Seoul lasted exactly 17 minutes. The Insectoid assault was met by defensive fire of unprecedented intensity. Automated systems, developed over 20 years of preparation, engaged targets with mathematical precision. Human ships moved with coordinated efficiency that bordered on supernatural. The attacking fleets were not defeated, they were systematically dismantled. When the firing stopped, fewer than 300 Council ships remained operational, their weapons disabled, and their life support systems powered down by precise targeting. Not a single human vessel had been destroyed, and casualties among the human forces numbered exactly 0. Hive General Crix TH, aboard one of the few intact insectoid vessels, transmitted her surrender. Human forces, the Insectoid Empire yields. We had no idea. No one did, Admiral Chun replied gently. That was the point. The aftermath of Operation Sunset reshaped galactic civilization. The 3 attacking species were offered remarkably lenient terms: reparations for the human casualties they had inflicted, acceptance of human territorial claims, and binding non-aggression pacts. No worlds were conquered, no governments overthrown, no populations enslaved. Instead, humanity demonstrated something unprecedented in galactic history: absolute power exercised with absolute restraint. 6 months later, the Galactic Council reconvened on Concordia Station. But, this time, the human delegation sat at the head of the table, with Admiral Chun wearing the insignia of Supreme Military Commander of the Galactic Defense Force, a position created specifically to acknowledge human military supremacy while maintaining the fiction of Council authority. High Magistrate Kelmvor opened the session with words that would be remembered for millennia. "We gather today not as conquerors and conquered, but as species who have learned to respect each other's true nature." The new galactic order was unlike anything in recorded history. Humanity possessed overwhelming military and economic power, but chose to exercise it through consensus and cooperation. The other species maintained their sovereignty and dignity while acknowledging the reality of human dominance. Trade flourished as never before. Technological exchange accelerated when humans began sharing innovations they had developed, but previously kept secret. Cultural exchanges blossomed as the fear of human aggression was replaced by curiosity about human motivation. Admiral Chun, now promoted to Fleet Admiral and serving as humanity's primary representative to the Council, often reflected on the strange path that had brought them to this point. Humanity had achieved galactic dominance not through conquest, but through the threat of conquest restrained by wisdom. "We could have ruled through fear," she once told General Rodriguez. "Instead, we chose to rule through respect. History will judge whether we made the right choice. History will remember that we had the power to destroy galactic civilization and chose to preserve it instead," Rodriguez replied. "That's a legacy any species could be proud of." The galaxy had learned a fundamental truth about humanity. They were indeed the dominant species, capable of imposing their will on any or all others. But they were also wise enough to understand that true dominance comes not from the ability to destroy, but from the wisdom to build. In the end, the Galactic Council had stared in shock as humans quit the Armistice talks. But what had shocked them most wasn't human arrogance or aggression. It was human restraint in the face of overwhelming power. They had encountered something unprecedented in galactic history, a species that could rule absolutely, but chose to rule wisely. The age of human dominance had begun not with conquest, but with revelation. And the galaxy was better for it.